Well, today I am scrounging through my refrigerator to put together a dinner. I have 2 chicken breasts, 4 chicken thighs, a couple of carrots, remnants of some celery, remnants of some onion, and 3 garlic cloves. It's time to shop. So I am going to make a chicken stew with wine, and it's going to be delicious. I've made it before. So the things that I'm going to use to create this dish are the carrots, garlic, celery, onion, a little tomato paste. I don't have any fresh mushrooms, but I have some dried mushrooms, and I'll toss a few of these in. Take a look, so you can get them in a bag. These are dried shiitake mushrooms, I think. And they just add a nice earthy flavor to any stew that you throw them in. I just throw them in dried, and they plump up and give the dish a lot of flavor. I have some leftover white wine from a dinner party, so I'm going to use that. And then I always keep a big hunk of bacon in the freezer, and I cut off little pieces of it as I need it. So this is frozen pretty solid. I'm going to let it defrost just a tiny bit, and then I'm going to slice off a few slices of this just to give the stew a wonderful smoky flavor. So what I'll do right now is just to start getting my vegetables prepared. And like I said, I've got this celery, and I'm just going to chop it up sort of fine. The thing about these vegetables is that they are going to cook for a while, so they are going to get very soft. So you just want to kind of make them somewhat uniform in size. They don't have to be any particular size. I cut them a little bit on the small side, and they help give the stew a wonderful flavor. All right, celery chopped. And may as well chop up the garlic, which is right next to it. And I'm going to throw all these things into my pot at the same time so they can all stay together. So I'm just going to slide them over a little bit. And I guess 2 very different sized carrots. I think I'm going to put one piece to the side because you don't want too much in this dish. And I'm going to see how much I get from the carrots that I have. But the carrots give a really nice sweetness. So this combination of onion and celery and carrot, and I don't know if garlic is included in this. Somebody who knows can certainly comment below. It's sort of a traditional, I think it's called a mirepoix. It's a start of almost, well, many, many dishes, and it's a wonderful flavor base for soups, for stews, for almost anything. And you saute them all together so the flavors come out. I think that's enough carrot actually. And this, maybe I'll just slice up, and that can be a snack for me and my kids. Put that to the side. And now we've got onion. This onion has seen better days, but that means it's perfect to use in a stew. It's just, not that it's bad or anything, it's just a little wilty, I'd say. So I'm just gonna chop it up. And there we go. We have our little beginning to throw, mirepoix beginning to throw in the pot. My bacon is really not truly defrosted, but it's enough, and I'm going to use a big knife to cut through it. I've taken out this little plastic cutting board to cut it on. And so what I do is I just sort of peel back. Okay. Usually I can kind of squeeze the bacon, push it up. It's still pretty frozen. There we go. And I'm just gonna slice off. Am I blocking what I'm doing? Probably. Sorry about that. There. And that's all I need. Just a little slice, and I have all this left. Pack it back up. Put it back in a freezer bag. And stick it back in the freezer for the next time. So this is ready, and I'm just going to cut it into little bits like this. Okay, this goes in the sink. We're ready to get started. Okay, so I threw the bacon in. It's sizzling away. It's a pretty hot pan. And I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. We don't want the bacon to burn. We just want it to impart its delicious bacony flavor. Obviously, if you don't eat bacon, you can omit this part. Add more mushrooms. Mushrooms deliver a really wonderful, earthy, meaty flavor as well. I'm doing both. Okay, those are going just fine. I don't need them to crisp up or anything. So now I'm going to add the vegetables that we cut. Stir them up a little. Now we're going to add a little salt and pepper. Bacon is pretty salty, so you don't want to salt it too much, but you do want the salt to bring out the flavor. Actually, this is the salt and pepper grinder that I got from, what was it? FabFitFun, I think. And I have this cool salt and herb blend that I got in Iceland. So I have that in one side and just pepper in the other. So I'm going to grind some salt right onto it. It already smells amazing. I'm just using this that has herbs in it, like Icelandic herbs. You don't have to, obviously. If I had a different salt, I'd be using just probably plain salt. But a little herbs never hurt anybody. You are going to add a few herbs to the stew. All right, little salt and pepper for now. We'll taste later and see if it needs more. Mix them all up and just let them saute on low for a little while till everything gets a little caramelized. Okay, we're back. So I have everything sauteing nicely, and I have the chicken ready to go. Like I said, there is 3 thighs and 2 chicken breasts, and I'm just going to dump those in. Get rid of this. And as soon as this is in, you just stir it up. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit now. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of flour. I keep a jar of flour in the fridge just for things like this. And what this is going to do is this is going to coat the chicken. And I'm not putting too much. I'm just wanting to coat the chicken a little bit with a light dusting of flour. And when it comes time to add the liquids, it will help thicken up the sauce a little bit. So we want to make sure that the flour cooks though and browns a bit, because there's nothing worse than having like a gravy or a sauce that tastes like raw flour. So we're going to let that cook and brown. While it's cooking, we may as well season it a little bit more. I have some dried thyme, and I'm going to put a generous, what is that, a teaspoon? Maybe half, yeah, I think I'll do a full teaspoon in. Some sage. I don't have much of this left. I need to put this on. Just a little sprinkle. This is like a dusty sage. Usually I'm used to sort of a more chunky sage, and this is a very like powdery sage. So just a little bit. And then this is actually also kind of powdery. This is rosemary that came from my aunt and uncle's backyard in California, and they grind it up really fine, which makes it nice because then you don't get them caught in your throat. So Oh my gosh, the smells already, and this fire doesn't seem quite high enough. The smells already are amazing. So just give that a little mix. You'll notice that the pan is getting these dark bits on them, and that's from the bacon, and it will also continue to happen as we cook the chicken. Those are going to come off beautifully with lots of flavor when we deglaze the pan with the pot with wine. I'm going to add just a little bit more salt and pepper. That's the salt. This thing is kind of cool. I don't know if any of you got it from FabFitFun, but you can take these bottoms off and grind right into it, or you can grind with the caps on and then catch the pepper or salt and then determine how much you're going to put in so that you don't over salt or pepper something. One more little mix, and then I really just want these to sear. So we're going to get them browned and then we'll be back. Okay, these are just starting to get a little bit of color on them, which is good, what we want. And right now I am going to pop in the mushrooms. And I'm just going to do a small handful just for a little flavor. I'm going to do a squeeze of tomato paste as well. I always keep a little tube of this in my refrigerator for days. Like, I keep cans of tomato paste, but I also keep a little tube of tomato paste in the refrigerator because it's just so handy. We don't need a ton, just need a nice squirt of it in there. And then the wine. Now, I have some leftover white wine, but you can absolutely use red wine with this. And what do I have? About half a bottle left. I'm going to do a half of that, probably. I'm going to kind of eyeball it. I don't want too much. And I'm going to turn up the flame just a little because it's going to help me deglaze the pan. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. And I'm going to then start to mix and scrape the bottom of the pan. And now I'm going to actually lower the flame a little bit. And as I sort of scrape the bottom of the pan, all those brown bits are going to pick up and add a lot of flavor to the stew. Now, I can see that this is a little dry. I actually need more liquid. So, and as you can see, it's already thickening up because of the flour that was on the chicken. So I'm going to add just a little bit of chicken broth. I always have a container of this in the cabinet. So I'm going to pour just a little bit of chicken broth in here because this is a stew. And I'm going to kind of eyeball it. Now, as it's cooking, as the liquid is cooking, it's definitely allowing me to scrape the bottom a little bit more and get the bits off. Now, I think just even a little bit more, just to cover the chicken just a little bit. That looks good. And you can use veggie stock if you have veggie broth, or chicken broth, veggie broth, beef broth, whatever you have on hand. It will all taste delicious, I promise. Okay, this looks fantastic. I'm going to now put it on a very low flame, cover it, and let it simmer away. I'll show you the final product. Okay, so this is done. This has been simmering away for a little while, for about a half an hour. All the chicken is cooked through. The sauce is nice and thick. It is super delicious. It was pretty easy to make. You can serve it either with some mashed potatoes or a delicious crusty bread, which is my favorite way to have it, and with a nice fresh green salad to sort of counterbalance the heavy richness of the stew. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you'll like the video, hit subscribe, and tap the notification bell for notifications on future videos. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will catch you next time.